Hello and welcome everyone to night 4 of our Kwanzaa celebration. Thank you for being here. The Kwanzaa greeting that we give is Habari Gani, which translates to what's the word? And the response that you give is the principle of the day. So when I say Habari Gani,
Ujamaa.
yes, thank you. All right, let's start with the lighting of the candles with Candace. Sorry, with the ancestors and the lighting with Candace.
Harigami.
Ujamaa.
Ujamaa.
Give me 1 second. We have a last minute request.
Oh, so sorry.
That's okay. Like I said, I wasn't ready for that. But give me a second. I'll pull it up.
Sorry.
Isn't it Edna Sabah? Naguzo Sabah?
Oh, you mean that?
Uh-huh.
Yes. That's what I'm looking for. Wait, one.
Found on the table. In the list on the table?
Yes, it is. But when I light the candles, I won't see them.
Okay.
And it doesn't help that I don't have my glasses on right now.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. I know I had them here. Oh my goodness. I apologize for not being prepared.
Would you like me to read the dedication to the ancestors?
Yes, please.
Okay. As we begin this celebration, let us pause to remember all who came before us and their great sacrifices. We exist because you, our ancestors, used intelligence, creativity, and faith to survive. We come to you humbly with graceful hearts to show our love and appreciation for laying the path for us and guiding us in the right direction. We thank you for your protection over us and as well as our families, and for interceding on our behalf in the difficult times, and we appreciate your support. We ask that you continue to guide and support us as we celebrate the 7 principles of Kwanzaa and endeavor to apply them to our lives and our families as we journey throughout life. And now, if Candace is ready, are we ready to light the candles?
Candace, I have the principles in front of me. And I
Okay.
can say them
If
as
you
you
can
like.
read them, then that would be great.
Yes. So James.
Request permission to light the candles.
Permission granted.
Okay. Umoja is unity. Kujichagulia, self-determination. Ujamaa is collective work and responsibility. Ujamaa is cooperative economics.
All right, beautiful. So tonight's principle is Ujamaa, as she said, cooperative economics. The affirmation for Ujamaa is to build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses, and to profit from them together. I am going to be reading mostly from the write-up from the official Kwanzaa website to describe more deeply what the principle of Ujamaa means to us. So there are 3 parts to this description. And the first part is shared wealth and work. It says the fourth principle is Ujamaa, cooperative economics, and it is essentially a commitment to the practice of shared social wealth and the work necessary to achieve it. Ujamaa literally means familyhood and suggests a sharing of work and wealth in the manner of a family. It grows out of the fundamental communal concept that social wealth belongs to the masses of people who created it, and that no one should have an unequal amount of wealth, that it gives him or her the capacity to impose unequal, exploitative, or oppressive relations on others. So what this is saying, the principles of Kwanzaa really do build on top of each other. We started with unity, umoja, understanding that we are all one family. And we come today to Ujamaa, which is understanding that our wealth is all one as well. We all share in the responsibility of curating wealth in the way that serves the community, our community the best. It says Ujamaa is above all human-centered, concerned foremost with the well-being, happiness, and development of the human person. And the assumption is that the conditions for such well-being, happiness, and development are best achieved in a context of shared social wealth. So what this is saying is that, the best way for us all to succeed is if we all share. And this reflects a lot on the principle we talked about yesterday, Ujamaa, which is collective work and responsibility, that we all have to do the work to build our community and build our future. And then today's Ujamaa brings in the money aspect of what supports all of that underneath. It says here, Ujamaa rejects the idea of wealth for wealth's sake, as opposed to wealth for the well-being of all, and supports the belief that there are more important things in life than the amassing of riches. So what this makes me think is, there shouldn't be people in the world who can fly to the moon just for no good reason, unless the expenditure of money supports the common good, then it's not following the spirit of Ujamaa. It talks about the importance of having money being served. It talks about the importance of wealth serving humans instead of humans serving the wealth. The second part of this is economic self-reliance. Ujamaa stresses self-reliance in the building, strengthening, and controlling of the economics of our own community. We must seize and maintain the initiative in all that is ours, and we must harness our resources and put them to the best possible use in service of the community. So we touched on this a little bit yesterday with talking about Black businesses and supporting Black businesses and creating and times in the past where our people have created their own miniature societies when we were not able to be part of the white society. And so this strikes on that, is the importance of keeping that money in our community, and not only keeping that money in our community, but having all the services that we need to be provided by members of our community. Closely related to this concept of self-reliance is the respect for the dignity and obligation of work. To respect work is to appreciate its value, reject its exploitation, and engage in it cooperatively for the common good of the community. So that phrase right there really, ties in yesterday's Ujamaa into today's Ujamaa. The last part of this is the obligation of generosity. Inherent in Ujamaa is the stress and the obligation of generosity, especially to the poor and vulnerable. it quotes an ancient Egyptian proverb that says, "What goes into the storehouse should come out." And I love that phrase because, it makes so much sense. Everything, there's no point in storing a bunch of grain if you're not going to then consume it. That's what it's talking about with building, amassing the amount of wealth it takes to fly to the moon. It doesn't, what are we getting back out of that? What is the community getting back out of that? I'm sorry, I know I've said that a couple of times. I should probably stop harking on him. A nice quote here is that I want to kind of close with is, "Generosity is a memorial for those who show it long after they have departed." And I love that quote. I think that's an ancient Egyptian proverb that that the mark that you leave on the world is the generosity that you show during your lifetime. And I believe that several of our family members have exemplified that that spirit of generosity. I think is a genetic trait. I always say, I think that's something I inherited from my grandfather. He's always been an extremely generous person. For example, when he had his backyard garden, he grew way more than his family could eat, and he would take the extras to church and give them away to other families. He would give them to the neighbors. He would tell the neighbors, "You know what, come on over and cut yourself some collard greens if you want." So, and his generosity has been inherited by my mother and by me, and so I just think that's a great note to end on, is that, wealth and generosity is to be shared, and it is the mark that you leave on the world. So that is my summary of the principle of Ujamaa. And I'm really interested to hear what other people might want to share as their experiences with carrying out the principle of Ujamaa in their lives and in their future. So I open the floor now, and I just want to let you know, I forgot to say this at the top, that we are live streaming. So just make sure to protect your privacy when you speak. If you turn your microphone on, you'll be heard and not seen. You'll only be seen if you turn your camera on. All right, so with that, I will open the floor. Thank you.
Well, I think we've mentioned this before. This is Wynette, about when you start talking about shared wealth and work, and from the history that we have when we were all down there by the Savannah River. And I think I was told that, Old Man Billy, or representative thereof, did give us land. Wasn't 40 acres and a mule, but it was at least something. And we interchanged the use of equipment to help each other out. And that, so I know we had a gin mill, we had a general store. If I remember, we started a school in the back of it. So that is a definite example of shared wealth and work. And also, I remember my father telling me that, of course, it was a long way to walk to school. Okay, that I think that generation, everybody had a long way to walk to school, and he told me that Coolidge would come in his truck and come and pick them up, and they would be so happy to see him because that would mean that they wouldn't have to walk so far. So that itself is an example of shared wealth and work, because I can just see a whole bunch of Sherard kids bouncing around in the back of an open bed truck. I don't know what it was, but that's the image that I get whenever he says that. That is that's an example, and I'm sure he was quite thankful for that.
Oh, thank you for sharing that, Wynette. I'd never heard that. That makes me smile as his daughter.
Yes, thank you. That's a great example. I think, the the stories that we've heard about the times of the Sherard family on the Savannah River are so inspiring and so keyed into the principles of Kwanzaa. Our ancestors truly lived by them before Kwanzaa even existed. So thank you for bringing that example.
Hello, if I might interject, this is James Sherard. I've been quiet, kind of trying not to appear to be bragging, but I think this whole area of economics is very important to me because I spent my life after I got out of the Air Force as a banker in all places, Minneapolis, Minnesota, and learned a number of things there as a banker. I started as a credit analyst, moved to a commercial banker, and later on to be president of one of the branches of what is now U.S. Bank Corporation. But the good part of that was that I was able, as a commercial loan officer and later as president of a bank, to identify some Black individuals who had a desire to start a business. And I was able to use the resources of the bank and my authority to fund some of those some of those businesses that in turn hired other Black people or other people of color. One of those places was a nightclub on the Mississippi River that hired a number of Black employees to support that club. And it did very well, did extremely well. But I think the important thing to me was to understand, yes, the financial institution, but also to be able to use that institution to allow us to build, as they would say, equity, and build some financial resources, but also to keep in mind the social responsibility for at least making sure that the people that we brought in to help us stay where we are economically are people of color, so that we are bringing in other people to help them build wealth as well, and hopefully return some of that wealth as they spend it in the Black community. I think is a way that we build this nest egg that we must have in order to pass on that wealth and the thought of helping other people of color. That's the way we start that wealth to be built and passed on to other generations that follow us, just as many of our forefathers have done to help us all get where we are today. So I think that's just an important piece to remember, and would certainly want to encourage everybody, find a Black business, patronize that Black business, and help that Black business grow so that they can be profitable and certainly have the focus and the caring to bring in particularly young people so that they can understand the rules of economics, so that they can earn income, but also use that income and that profitability to service others. There's no question that our society in America right now is based on finances and money. And one of the quotes that I found from Cicely Tyson says, if we want to see ourselves in a positive manner, then we must learn to register our votes with our dollars. And to me, that's a very important piece, because it given the state that we're in here, that yes, if you have the dollars, you are able to do a number of things in our community that will benefit all of us. And with that, I rest.
Yes, thank you, James. You hit on a couple of really important points there. The idea that wealth is a community thing. It is something that has to be shared between people and passed on and built up. It takes time and decades and generations to build it up, and it takes that same amount of time and effort to pass on the knowledge from person to person to person. And I think that is, that brings in not only Ujamaa, but the Ujamaa, the Umoja. It brings it all together in such a beautiful way. So thank you, James. Thank you for that for those examples and sharing your experience. Is there anyone else who would like to share before we wrap up?
This is Wynette again. And when James was talking, I don't know what made me think of, I was thinking about Tyler Perry and Ava DuVernay and all the newer African-American directors and producers that we have. And I was watching some Christmas shows last couple of days, and I remember when I was growing up, all those Christmas shows, none of them had Black people in them. Now there are Christmas shows, a Diva Christmas, it was a bread baking contest, Christmas, and I watched every single one of them. And it made me feel good to see that not only are we represented in front of the camera, but it's because we are behind the camera and we are in the boardrooms at the table, making the decisions, writing the script. And it makes me very proud that this young generation now can turn on the television and see themselves in actors. Well, first of all, the actors have jobs. See themselves in not just as the pimp and the prostitute, but see people of stature and respect on TV that look just like them. And Misty Copeland, the ballerina, is also adamant about bringing up behind her, allowing little black girls to dream that they too can be ballerinas. After everything that she went through. So that you reminded me of that, James, when you were talking about that. So it is a different world, and I hope it continues to diversify, because it's all good to me. I'm just glad these actors are getting jobs. There's so many talented people, Quinta Brunson, so many talented people out there. So I'm very thankful for that.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that. It's very true. There are a lot of talented people, and I think the principle of Ujamaa is all about how we need to express those talents in every possible way that we can. We need to be everywhere. We need a Black everything. You know what I mean? So that we can have our own and see ourselves, just like you said. So thank you for wrapping that up very nicely. Let me give our farewell statement. Strive for discipline, dedication, and achievement in all you do. Dare to struggle and sacrifice and gain the strength that comes from this. Build where you are and dare to leave a legacy that will last as long as the sun shines and the water flows. Practice the Nguzo Saba daily. Lastly, we say Harambe as loud as we can. We say it 7 times. The goal is to make the Zoom shake. So you reach your hand up, you make a fist, and you pull down with intensity and strength each time you say Harambe. 7 times. Starting Harambe! 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 Harambe!
Harambe.
Harambe!
Harambe.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for
Thank
joining
you.
us tonight for the fourth night of Kwanzaa.
Fourth.
The fourth night of Kwanzaa. Tomorrow we will be back at 7 p.m. as well, and we will see you again. Have a
All
good
right.
night.
Thank everybody for joining, spending your time with us. We really appreciate it. And I hope you are appreciating the program as much as we are appreciating having it here for you. So thank you so much for coming.
And also, as a reminder,
Oh,
on Sunday, the 1st, we will be getting together at 3 instead of 7.
Yes, thank you.
that's the last day, and that will be the celebration also.
Well, every day's a celebration.
I had to figure that out. Okay.
All right, thanks, everybody.
All right. Thank you. Stay well, stay safe, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow.
Absolutely. Thank you, ladies, for your work. Still looking good.
And thank you, James, for your perseverance.
And good night to all the cousins.
Okay. Good night.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Night.